So I just gotta say this 2023 summer movie season has been awesome. We've had the new Guardians movie, the new Spider-Man movie, the new Mission Impossible, and now we have Oppenheimer. Like, wow, what a great year for movies, isn't it? So Oppenheimer is the type of movie where you can't really half pay attention to it. It's not something to have on in the background. You have to fully tone your brain on and focus on it. It's that type of movie. Christopher Nolan, as we all know, is a great director. I'd say he's only disappointed me twice from the movies I've seen of him. I haven't seen all of his movies, but the only time I haven't liked his movies is Inception because it was too needlessly complicated, and Tenet, which also needlessly complicated. So, I come into the movie thinking, well, it's based on a true story. How complicated could it be? And it wasn't. You know, even my dumbass could understand this movie. What I always did like about Christopher Nolan is that he doesn't try to talk down to his audience. He respects his audience. He expects that, like, they're smart enough to follow along. Something I wish Marvel directors would do nowadays, because I feel like Marvel treats their audience like they're idiots. Now, obviously, I did not really understand the whole science parts of the movie where they're talking science, because, yeah, if you could believe it, I am not a physicist. But I don't really think you needed to. Like, that was just there to show that he's smart. The main thing is focusing on the character of Oppenheimer himself, how he feels and stuff, and I think they do a really good job at jumping around in time throughout the movie. I like movies that jump around in time. Better Call Saul, Eternal Sunshine, Pulp Fiction, stuff like that. Well, it kind of just goes back and forth. I thought it was good, and it wasn't really confusing because you can tell like when each of the scenes take place. I like the whole black and white versus color sequence. At first, I was like, "Oh, is this the present? Is this the future?" But no, it turns out the color sequences are from Oppenheimer's point of view, and the black and white sequences are from Schwartz's point of view. So, the main part of the movie is the U.S. trying to develop the bomb before Germany does. It's kind of this race against the clock, if you will. Killing Murphy, I've been a fan of for years now because I'm a huge fan of Peaky Blinders, and I always thought he was amazing in it. I also liked him in other Nolan movies. Like, he was the only character I really liked in Inception. I loved him as the Scarecrow in Dark Knight movies. So Killing Murphy never misses, and he still never misses. This might be one of his best performances alongside the great Thomas Shelby. I thought that Cillian Murphy should have won an Emmy for Thomas Shelby, but maybe he'll finally win an Oscar for this movie. He is known for his beautiful blue eyes, and he uses them well in this movie. Very striking and expressive. We could tell what he's thinking just by looking at those beautiful blue eyes. The rest of the cast is great too. I think Emily Blunt does a good job. A supportive wife, but still very outspoken. I feel like Florence Pugh doesn't get much to do here. Like, she's in full scenes, and three of them, her boobs are hanging out. But unlike other shows like Euphoria, I feel like the nudity in this movie is justified because it shows Oppenheimer's relationship to the character and the character herself. It's it's done in a tasteful way, unlike a lot of TV shows. Looking at you, Game of Thrones. Looking at you, Euphoria. Getting an actress of her, caliber and having her in just a few scenes is kind of weird to me. Same with Rami Malek. Like, Rami Malek is an Emmy-winning actor, Oscar-winning actor, and he's in a movie for like 5 seconds. I don't really get that. Jack Crade's in the movie for 5 seconds, despite being on like one of the most popular TV shows, The Boys. Even Joss Peck's in the movie for 5 seconds. So I keep thinking, like, why are these people in this movie? Big Bell's not in the movie, if you know what I mean. Oof. But I think besides Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr. gives a great performance. He's the second best in this movie. Now, I never really thought of Robert Downey Jr. as a great actor, because from what I've seen, most of it is just him playing himself. Tony Stark's personality is very similar to Robert Downey Jr.'s personality, but in this, he's actually acting for a change. It seems like he's actually trying. I mean, yeah, of course he tried in Marvel, but in this, he's actually playing like somebody completely different from your typical Robert Downey Jr. role. I thought he did great in this movie. I haven't seen much of what Robert Downey Jr.'s been in, but this really surprised me with his talent of playing somebody completely different. Nolan's screenplay is very detailed, and you could really tell he did his research for this. In fact, I'm reading American Prometheus right now, which is the book that Oppenheimer, the movie, was based on, and I like it a lot. And you could tell that Nolan like copied it page for page because he's very, very detailed. Acting and cinematography was great too. It's a very like non-colorful movie, except for a few moments, but you're just sucked in to the tone of the movie. He does a great job with that. A lot of Nolan movies, I have the problem with the music because the music often overshadows the dialogue, so you can't tell what the fuck they're saying. This movie does not have that problem, thank God. Maybe it's because Hans Zimmer doesn't do the score for this. Um, the Tenant was by the same guy who did this movie, Ludwig something, and I still couldn't hear what they were saying. So maybe Nolan finally figured out how to sound edit. 'Cause I was able to understand all of the dialogue without subtitles, so that was nice. Yeah, despite being 3 hours long, I feel like the pacing never really quivers. Like despite having a slow pace, you're still invested in it. You still like kind of on the edge of your seat. Especially during the bomb sequence, I was like that. I was like literally on the edge of my seat. um, but yeah, I feel like Nolan kind of gets flack for not having the characters be emotional enough, or some of the characters being a little too stale, which I never really agreed with. Interstellar, Matthew McConaughey's performances with his daughter was fantastic. Cillian Murphy's performance with his dad in Inception was great. The whole Dark Knight trilogy, like characters like Alfred or Gordon. So I never really agreed with people on that. And this movie still shows that Nolan is good at writing characters, especially Oppenheimer. Very complex character, but human at the same time. So yeah, all in all, one of the greatest movies of the year. Probably my second right now after the Spider Verse. So I'm gonna give this movie a B plus. I really loved it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought, and what is your favorite Christopher Nolan movie. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, peace.